controversy, rock and roll versus Christianity, Jesus, backlash. All of these words can refer to the Beatles' last tour ever in 1966. But the following year was definitely the beginning of a new cycle for the band, but also for music in general. So let's try to understand what makes 1967 an amazing year for music. If I ask you to name one band that represents the 1960s, your answer will probably be the Beatles. And you're right, because few bands can claim that there is a before and after them for the music world. But it's in 1967, with the album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, that they set a new standard for what making an album was. After several years on the road, the band got fed up of touring and wanted to spend more time actually working on new songs in the recording studio. But this decision was seen as reckless because in the 1960s, music artists' success really depended on touring, which would prompt people to buy records. They worked with the music producer George Martin almost as musical scientists and treated the recording studio as a laboratory, experimenting with new sounds and new recording techniques like it hadn't been done before, which resulted in an album that sounded like never before. The Beatles didn't record each track by playing all together in the studio. No, each song was made layer by layer, with instruments, sounds and vocals to create a unique piece of work. This way of working was completely new in 1967, but became the norm for most artists today. You have to realize that recording resources were very limited at that time, as we didn't enter the digital age yet, which allows musicians to record as many layers of sound as they want. The Beatles worked on Sgt. Pepper's with a 4-track magnetic tape. They also used unusual instruments for a pop rock band, the calliope, the sitar, the jilruba, or the piccolo trumpet. They intently created an album that was meant to be a studio production, rather than an album made to be performed live. Sgt. Pepper's takes you from Liverpool to a Victorian circus in England, and even India, like on the track Within You, Without You. It spent 148 weeks on the British charts, 27 at number 1. It was the best-selling album of 1967 and the best-selling album of the 60s in the UK. Even if you don't remember listening to the album, you've probably seen the artwork designed by the pop artists Peter Blake and John Haworth, which was the most expensive ever made at that time. The Beatles developed this idea of an alter ego band and wanted to gather all the people who inspired them in a way or another. But it was also a hassle to work on, as the production team had to get permission from each person on the album cover, which wasn't an easy task at a time when emails didn't exist. It was also the first album ever to include lyrics on the sleeve, which intensified the listening experience, but also changed the music business as lyrics were being sold separately on magazines and books in the 60s. The Beatles redefined pop. They redefined what could be done in a recording studio. But there is a paradox. This epic album is inspired by real-life events. Some songs take inspiration from newspaper stories, everyday events and pictures, and others are inspired by John Lennon and Paul McCartney's childhood in Liverpool, which is very far away from the idea of the summer of love. Indeed, on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, a peaceful revolution was brewing, and Sgt. Pepper's was definitely its soundtrack.
Turn on, tune in, drop out.
In 1967, nearly half of the population of the United States was under 25 years old, and they were not happy with what was going on in their country. JFK, the president many had voted for and who represented hope, was shot a few years before. Constant racism led to the civil rights movement. The Cold War was ongoing, the threat of the atomic bomb was present, and the country was divided by the Vietnam War. If you want to learn more about the context of the Vietnam War, make sure to watch our video about the song What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, and don't forget to subscribe. This gloomy atmosphere clashed with the post-World War II prosperity in the US, which was definitely not available to the entire population. Frustration and hope for a better world led to the Summer of Love, a social movement and counterculture that occurred in the US during the summer of 1967, more precisely in San Francisco. About 100,000 young people gathered in the city, mostly in the Golden Gate Park area and the Haight-Ashbury area, to imagine a new world together, share common values and beliefs like anti-war sentiment, free love, community, rejection of consumerism, expression and experimentation through art and especially music. They rejected what their own parents and the government deemed to be the perfect life, having a job, living in a respectful suburb, being married with kids, and of course, buying things. Several festivals took place during the Summer of Love, but one made history and received lots of media coverage, the Monterey International Pop Festival. Many artists performed, including The Who and Otis Redding, but one band made sure to show everyone that rock and roll was taking a new turn, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Yes, Jimi Hendrix had a short career, but his impact on music can't be measured, and he is still considered to be one of the best guitarists to ever walk the earth. In 1967, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, composed of Jimi, Noel Redding, and Mitch Mitchell, had just released the album Are You Experienced in the UK, where it peaked at number 2, just after Sgt. Pepper's. However, the singles Purple Haze and Hey Joe hadn't really worked with the American audience, but with a little help from Paul McCartney, the Monterey International Pop Festival made sure to show the Jimi Hendrix Experience in a new light, proving to everyone the musical genius of Jimi Hendrix. During the amazing performance, Jimi burnt and smashed his guitar on stage, creating one of the most iconic and shocking moments in rock and roll history. The coverage this concert got led to the release of the album in the US with a few changes in the tracklist and a way better artwork than the UK version. If you want to understand how psychedelic rock feels, Are You Experienced is the right album to listen to. But even if 1967 is often remembered for rock and roll, soul music played a key role in making it a hell of a year.
To me, when you speak of soul, well, it's being sung all over the world by millions of people, of all races and all colors. But there's one lady here at home, we got her, who stands head and shoulders above all the rest. Because, very simply, she doesn't sing soul, she is soul.
In April 1967, Aretha Franklin released the masterpiece, Respect. Originally written and performed by Otis Redding in 1965, the original meaning of the song was very far away from Aretha Franklin's version. Otis Redding told the story of a man asking for respect from his wife when he gets back from work, because he's the one bringing money to the household. Some may say this is a code to ask his wife for something else, but I will let you think on that. Aretha took the song and made it her own. She asked her two sisters, Irma and Caroline, to sing backup vocals, including the infamous line, "Suck it to me." She changed the lyrics and therefore the narrative. She's a strong black woman asking for the respect and recognition she deserves. Compared to Otis Redding, she doesn't speak in code, she spells out her demand, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Actually, she's not asking anymore, she's requesting. To rewrite and bring so much emotion to the song, she took inspiration from her own life and found a way to emancipate herself from the men in her life while inspiring women all across the world. At only 24 years old when the song was released, she had gone through many traumas, she had to deal with a very authoritarian father, and she was also in a toxic relationship with her first husband, Ted White. But the release of Respect was a breakthrough moment in her career, as she topped the Billboard 100 for weeks and won her first 2 Grammys, one for Best R&B Recording and the other for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance.
Boom.
As we mentioned before, the United States were in the middle of the civil rights movement, but also the feminist movement. In 1963, the Equal Pay Act was voted to abolish salary disparity based on gender, and in 1964, the Civil Rights Act was voted and outlawed discrimination based on gender, race, and religion. The song Respect was released at the perfect time to become an anthem for women and every individual asking for more respect and equality. As the journey against sexism and racism is still ongoing, Aretha Franklin's powerful message still resonates. 1967 will always be remembered as the year of experimentation and blurring the lines of what music could achieve. Make sure to leave us a comment to let us know what you thought of this video, and thank you for watching.